Hello guys, it is Cave Theories here, and if there's one show I absolutely love, it is the Tracy Beaker and Dumping Ground franchise. I've seen them all, however, I think we can all admit they have been going on for quite a while now, like almost 20 years, and one of the reasons for this is purely because the Dumping Ground's long time on our screens with 8 seasons, over 150 episodes, several movies and spin-off TV shows, and a 9th season which has just been filmed. It honestly looks like this show is never going to end, and you have to admit, it's a pretty impressive formula they have going for it. Old kids leave, new kids come in, and there you go, you've got a show that could go on forever. However, as it is with all of these type of shows, should they? I made a video a few months ago on when the Dumping Ground should end, and you can see that by clicking the card or in the description down below, but I thought today we'd do the complete opposite. More like, how do we make sure it stays? But stays at a great quality, because currently, as every season has aired, the quality of the show has unfortunately begun decreasing quite dramatically. How to make the Dumping Ground great and as awesome as it was way before. But before we go any further, please make sure that you've clicked that red subscribe button down below and have your notifications turned on so that you get notified every time we make a brand new Dumping Ground video. Firstly, let's just get something clear. The show is not going anywhere. Like, it's so successful, CBBC would not want to get rid of it. But I think we can all admit it has gone very downhill since its early days of Tracy Beaker Returns and the early seasons of The Dumping Ground. Like, nowadays, every time a new episode comes out, it feels like I'm watching a completely different show. Like, you cannot tell me that Series 8, the latest season that just came out, had anything like this in it. Tracy Beaker Returns had fights, fires, and even kids falling off roofs. The early Dumping Ground had grenades, people being run over, and kids becoming homeless and living on the streets for literal months. Really think about it. Could you actually see any of these things happening right now in the show in the current state it is? You couldn't. The latest season finished airing a few months ago, and I couldn't really tell you what actually happened in it because nothing really did. The only memorable episode was the first one and where Tyler left, and that was mainly just because Elektra returned in it and I absolutely love that character. I honestly don't think I could tell you much else about that season, and that's coming from someone who watches these shows 24/7. Not to mention, the amount of stories they are repeating is just becoming hilarious now. Like, take an episode from the latest season, Season 8, about the character of Katie, episode 19 called The Great Expectations. The episode sees Katie trying to help her mum due to her alcoholic problems. In the episode, Katie wants to see more of her mum, so she gets the oldest kid in the Dumping Ground, Jodie, to take her to a session where they wait outside to find her mum. Later on, they go to her mum's house and find a drank vodka bottle in her home, and Katie says this isn't the first time she's done this. However, in Tracy Beaker Returns Series 2 Episode 9 called The Scare Game, the exact same storyline happens. The episode sees Lily trying to help her dad due to his alcoholic problems. In the episode, Lily wants to see more of her dad, so she gets the oldest kid in the Dumping Ground, Sapphire, to take her to a session where they wait outside to find her dad. Later on, they go to her dad's house and find a bottle of alcohol, and Lily says this isn't the first time he's done this. Now, the conclusions aren't fully the same, but you can tell these episodes are just basically the exact same story with different characters set years apart, thinking that the fans just wouldn't notice that this is the same thing. The clear problem here is that the show just isn't the same anymore. It's repeating storylines, and I don't think you can take anything of what it says nowadays seriously anymore because of this. I'm not saying we need something as extreme as falling off the roof every single episode, but currently it just seems that the showrunners are treating this show as a literal joke, and is it just me, or have the actors randomly began getting really melodramatic in the show, which kind of is making it even worse? Maybe it is just me, but with weak storylines and them not improving at all, I just thought today we could see how we could make this show better, so that it's back to the big days of Tracy Beaker Returns and the early Dumping Ground that we all absolutely loved. The first idea is simply take a break. Many shows do this when they've gone on for too long, and it gives the show time to rethink and then come back stronger than ever. It did this between the story of Tracy Beaker and Tracy Beaker Returns, and it was amazing. Yes, it would mean that some of the current characters wouldn't be in the show anymore, and that would be a shame, but even just a 5-year break would be really beneficial than just putting out ever-growing worse quality episodes. I'd much prefer I have to wait to receive something like Tracy Beaker Returns Series 1 than just get whatever this new way of doing things is. Next, we have introduced better characters. Characters are everything in a show like The Dumping Ground, and I'm sure we all have our favourite characters we can really relate to, and I've become so invested into so many. However, recently the characters have just been, well, boring. It's nothing against the actors, but for the past few years, no new characters have really excited me at all. Characters such as Taz, Sid, Viv, Max, Katie, I've just never really found myself liking very much. The only new character I've actually became invested in was Beck, and that was probably because they actually gave her a story dedicated to her so we could understand her better, and her story is quite original, unlike these other characters. She actually has a personality. Don't you remember the days when a new character was such a huge thing in the show that we got a full 2-parter to learn about them? Classics like when Bailey was introduced or when Sasha was introduced. Nowadays, a new character coming in is treated like nothing, meaning we never get invested in them and they just become a side character. It doesn't help also that these new characters just have absolutely no personality. And we're also losing so many great ones and being replaced with this new cast of characters who no one really cares for. And this brings me on to my next point. Bring back old characters. There is so many awesome characters the show could bring back, and in all of the episodes that characters have returned, it has been huge. But I would prefer to have big events like reunions to happen at the end of the seasons, so to make the show permanently better, I think they should do something like when they brought back Bouncer in the story of Tracy Beaker as a returning permanent character. Saying that, why not bring back some of the original story of Tracy Beaker cast? We had a few returning characters in My Mum Tracy Beaker, so clearly they know that the fans absolutely love these old classic characters. Why not just bring them back? Let me know in the comments which character from its 18 years you'd love to bring back. With this, why not even crossovers? Currently, My Mum Tracy Beaker just aired, and I know it wasn't all positives for everyone. However, I'm sure we'd all love to see these two shows crossover at some point and see Jess Beaker meet some of the new characters in The Dumping Ground. Speaking of spin-offs, however, I've also heard a lot of people want another spin-off like Tracy Beaker Returns, but for a completely different character, and I honestly completely agree. The amount of people like me who would adore a Jodie Jackson spin-off is just so many. Like, she is the longest reigning character, and there's a reason for that. The fans and the show absolutely love her. And we've known this right from the beginning, with The Dumping Ground's first film being directly about her, Jodie in Wonderland. And a Jodie spin-off just sounds absolutely amazing, as she can't stay at the DG forever unfortunately, but I'm sure everyone wants to know what she'll get up to after she leaves Care. Or saying that, a spin-off with any of the long-standing characters we've all grown to love. Similar to Liam's story that can be incorporated into the season finale of a Dumping Ground season, but actually make it a long series this time instead of just one episode. But in saying that, there are some characters who I think have stayed on for a bit too long in my opinion. I'm sure we can all guess who I'm talking about, but I'm not going to say anything, we'll just leave it at that. But I think what the show really needs to make it great again is better and higher stakes like how it used to be. When I was younger, I would watch this show to laugh, to see tension in the dumping ground, and to learn. Nowadays, the comedy just isn't the same, and the stakes, as we discussed before, really aren't the same, because I don't even think you could see anyone nowadays ever having a physical fight, apart from Jodie when she's boxing. And the show, I think, should be dwelling into a lot more serious topics like it used to. It seems now that it is aiming for a younger side of CBBC, yet its audience has grown up with it. I think now more than ever, they should definitely be focusing on some more serious topics to teach kids. They do a bit of mental health topics here and there, but I definitely think they need to have a balance of serious and comedy instead of this weird fake comedy and serious moments that I don't think anyone really cares for because no one is invested in the characters anymore. Topics such as racism, religion, and LGBTQ+ should all be incorporated. The show does do a little of them, but not in the same way like it used to anymore. Like, let's take Series 1, where there was arguments when Johnny was being homophobic, or in Series 2, Episode 9, called Sticks and Stones. That episode had a really strong message on the effects of racism on a black person. It wasn't all in your face, and I wouldn't say it's my favourite episode ever, but the message was there enough, and the episode actually took the message seriously. That is the way to do it. And I can think of plenty of other examples across early Dumping Ground and Tracy Beaker Returns. Just ask me in the comments, I'll tell you one. But I just don't think we could ever have any episodes like the ones I've just discussed anymore in the show because of what it is like today. Like, I can't even think of a single time at all in the show where they've delved into different religions and the differences that can cause. Today on the show, I could not see any of these serious topics being taken properly seriously and you actually believing that the characters are struggling with this, because the characters just don't seem to act any serious whatsoever now, and they're just all laughing and thinking that the world is fine, which it isn't. And the final thought, unfortunately, is just to bring it to a close. Maybe even just carry on with My Mum Tracy Beaker and leave the DG for a while. Because unfortunately, things do have to come to an end eventually. And the one way to make this show brilliant and the best it's ever been, unfortunately, is to end it on a high. Have that reunion of every character we've all been waiting for at the very end. Or who knows, maybe just bring back Tracy Beaker Returns, because really, I can't think of any faults with that show. But either way, who knows, they have just finished filming Series 9, so maybe the show is actually up to its high standards that it used to be, and Series 8 and Series 7 and Series 6 was just a break before they're going to return back after lockdown being absolutely amazing. I really hope this new Series 9 is going to be just as good as these original series. But either way, guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, make sure that you smash that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Tell us down in the comment section down below, do you think the Dumping Ground has got worse? For me personally, I think you can tell from this video, I definitely do, and I know a lot of you guys do. Let me know down in the comments why it has gotten worse, what do you think the reasons for it are, and do you think it can ever be saved and return back to the heights it was in Tracy Beaker Returns and the early Dumping Ground, or even as far back as the story of Tracy Beaker? Let me know all your thoughts of how you think the Dumping Ground can return to these heights, and as always, we've been here on Gate of Theories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.